Hi and smiles, everyone. It's Colleen. Today I'm working on making some slides for the journal that we are making. We have done the cover, and I thought I would put a couple of little slides in the book in a pocket of some kind. So anyways, what happened was I was just going to make a couple, and I ended up going down a rabbit hole, as they say. And this is a great mass making project, and that's what I'm doing today. I had the stuff out, so I thought I will just make a few of these. So today I want to show you, I had this die for a slide, and so I made a few like this, and then I was looking at it and thought, you don't need a die at all. So I'm going to show you how to make these without a die also, and they turn out just as lovely as if you had the die. But of course, not all of us have a die, right? So that's why I thought I'd see if I could make it without the die and then share with you guys what I did, so you can make them too if you don't happen to have a die. So this is what it will turn out to be like with the die. I just got to glue this one together, so maybe we'll do that right away. And yeah, so then we can, I just need my glue book. And we'll get this dyed, or this glued together. And then I'll show you how I came up with the same thing without a die. It basically looks the same. It's a slightly different, but not much. So the thing about it, if you don't have a die, too, that's really wonderful, is you can make these any size you wanted, right? I'm preferring to just have a smaller slide for the project, the book that our journal, I should say, that we're going to be working in. And that's why I decided to use this little die. And I don't have a big slide die. So this is also great that I figured this all out for when I want to make some larger ones, right? So I'm going to just glue this together. And they're so cute. And of course, specimen slides, right, is generally what they are called. But I'm just going to call it a slide because I'm putting ladies in these ones. And isn't that just cute? So I've done a few, and I'll show you the ones I've done later on. But I want to show you how you can recreate this slide without a die. All right. So I wanted them small like that. I'll just get my cutter and stuff here, and I'll need my board here. Scoreboard. I lost that name for a second. So anyways, what's also great about this is you can use scraps of paper for this because they're smaller. You don't need a whole sheet of paper to make these. So I have made these approximately 4 1/4 by 2 1/4 is what I'm doing. So this is about 4 1/4 right here along the length. So I'm just going to cut this to 2 1/4 like that. And like I said, you can change your dimensions any way you would like. If you want a larger one or even a smaller one, I guess. You could also make them very small, but that's the dimensions I'm using because, like I said, I wanted to recreate the die, basically the size of the die. Okay, so then all I'm going to do is fold this in half so we know where the half is when it's folded in half, just like that. And this is really quite easy. So it's fast to make too. So then I just, anything that is a rectangle, and I just happened to have this die. It was in that same set. So I'm just using it to draw my lines on, to cut out a square when you don't have a die, or not a square, this is a rectangle. So I do it on the inside, then you're not going to see it. And then I line it up. I want to have more on the bottom than the top when I cut this out. So I'm just using my eye, and then I just take a pencil and get a general outline of the square I'm going to use, because these have a little bit of nicks from being together with the other dies that were in the set. Whoop, I moved that a little bit, no biggie. Just like that. Come across here. So I have my outline, and I'm noticing it's a little bit too far over there. So all I'm going to do is line this up so that I'll just use the second line to cut out, because I'm finding I went a little too far on that side. Well, maybe not. Anyway, there we go. All right, so then I just put an X in it. Just draw an X. Doesn't have to be a perfect X, as you can see. Then I'm just going to use my pokey tool to poke out the middle here, just to get a place for my scissors to start. And then I'm just going to cut to each corner here to cut this out. Now if you wanted to make this a straight or a square, you just need to find something to trace as a square. But this looks better with a rectangle, I'm going to say. So I just take it up to the corner, and then I do the same over here. My X is a little bit, wasn't in the middle, but that doesn't matter. This just makes it so I can cut it out easier if I cut the middle into an X, is basically what I'm doing. Oh, I went a little too far on that with my scissors, but that's okay, because when I glue it, I don't mind, it'll glue up. But anyways, you take it to the corner. I'm talking as I'm cutting, and I didn't notice how far I had taken that. And I'm still going to use it. I don't want to waste it. There's no point in it to waste it. Okay, and then I take my scissors and I come to the corner, and then I'm just going to cut along the line here. And being on the inside, it doesn't matter if you're not exactly perfect on getting to the pencil. If there's some pencil left on the cardstock, it doesn't matter, because it's on the inside and no one's ever going to see it. So we just get rid of that. We'll cut up this way a little bit more to the corner. I wasn't quite at the corner. Then we come across. This is where I went off the corner, but I'm okay with that because, like I said, I am going to be gluing this, so it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. And of course, you're not going to do that when you do this. Okay, there we go. So now we have our outline. It isn't completely square, but I don't mind that at all. You know, this had those little ticks in it, so you could use something that doesn't and get a better outline. And then, of course, you can measure it yourself. I just eyed it, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Perfection is never the goal in journals. To me, anyway, it's never the goal. So we're gonna, oh, where is the other? So all I did is for the slide window here, I just used packaging that I had got stuff in, and I just cut it up and keep it because there's all kinds of uses in your craft room for it. And that's what I'm using today for the window here. Okay, so next thing I want to do is I'm going to just, before we do any gluing or anything, I'm going to just ink the inside here because I like the ink look. It's just who I am. I think it finishes things off nicely lots of times. It just gives it that extra. So I'm going to just ink this a little bit. Doesn't have to be a lot. Okay. So I'm going to just make sure I'm all lined up. And then I'm going to take my little piece here and I'm going to glue that on the end. Oh, no. First, I'm going to take my embossing board here. And as you can see on these slides, I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but we have these lines right here. So that's what I want to recreate to some degree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just line this up just above the window. Where do I want to put this? I think so. Just above the window, and I'm going to come down. Again, this might be a little hard to see on the camera, but it makes a really nice line on here. Okay, then we're going to do the same on the other side. So we're just going to come down, or start a little above and come down to about there. It's not all that important, really, on how you put your lines. I'm going to move this a little bit this way, maybe. I want it a little bit closer than I had it. There we go. So I'm just bringing that down. I score it a couple of times. This is a scoreboard, not an embossing board, by the way. I called it an embossing board, didn't I? Because this is like embossing the paper right now, how I'm using it. Excuse that sound. I forgot to put myself on airplane mode because I was so excited to show you guys this. Hopefully we won't get an interruption like that again. Okay, whoop, I'm going the wrong way with this maybe. Oh, this way. Okay, so we'll put that aside for now. All right, so I put those little lines. So now we will glue our packaging on. So how I'm gluing today with the packaging, because it's a little bit more difficult with this plastic regular glue, like Aleene's glue, white glue, whatever. Doesn't always stick the best, but I had gotten this for Temu to experiment and see if it was a lot like E6000, and it has a very, very good hold. So I'm going to use that, and it seems to be working for this part. And then I'm going to I will glue the other part with white glue, but for this part, and it's also a fine tip, really fine tip, I am just going to get this on there. And then that holds it really well. So we'll just get this on. All I'm going to do is line it up fairly. Doesn't matter if it's completely straight at all, just as long as you're covering the window, because all of this is going to be glued down like that, so nothing is going to be seen. So nothing has to be absolutely perfect. Okay. And then what we're going to do is, you see how this one has these little notches out of there, right? That's from the die. So what am I going to do for that is I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut some V's in the top. So they're a little bit further in. So I'm just going to start about here. Again, I'm just eyeing this. Bring it down, and then we'll make a V. Just like that. Tip didn't really come out. There we go. Hopefully. Yeah. Okay, and then we're going to do the same over here. Bring it in a little bit. What I'm doing is using the edge of the window to judge where I will put my V, is what I'm doing. Then I just cut and cut again over here. Just like that. And then we have that folder tab look to it, right? So there we go. All right, and so the next thing I want to do, I've got the lines, I've got my little notches out, and you see how these little on the corners, these dots, and you could use on the original die, there's none on the back. The circles don't go through to the back. But if you're making your own, you could go through both layers of this and then put some tiny brads inside, if that's the look you want. But today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my pokey tool. The glue was a little bit catching it. And let's just get my foam here so I can do that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to poke through the corners here. So I'm just using my eye and I'm going to put them sort of so there's a triangle. I just look at it like that and I judge where it is, because again, I don't think it needs to be perfect. There we go. So put a hole there, and then this one's probably about here. You can sort of draw your eye across if you want to show where you want to put it. So I think that's good. And then I'm going to do the same here. I just make it look, I'm visualizing a triangle down here. And then I'm just going to put a hole there. And I'm going to put one about there. So then I just take it and I run it up my pokey tool a little bit to make them a little larger. But that's how easy you can make your little circles. You don't have to have a hole punch. You could use a hole punch, but I don't have a hole punch. I don't think that's quite that tiny. So I don't want them to be super large. But if you were making bigger ones, you could certainly use a hole punch for that. Okay, so that is looking pretty darn good. So the next step is I want to, let's see, let's pick a image. So I'm going to put my image in now. So, oh, I like that one. Or do we want this one? Okay. This one's a little bit large for the window that I've created. So if you wanted to put a bigger image, you would just make your window a little bit bigger. So I think I'm going to use this one. So because it's gluing against this plastic here, I'm going to just use this glue again for this part, and I'm just going to go along the edge. The very edge is all I'm doing on this image, because the back of the image is going to be glued on to the back of the slide on the inside, right? But I just want to make sure that it adheres a bit to the plastic that it will be touching. So that's why I use this. I'm sure you could use all kinds of different glues to do this, and you can use the white. It just takes a little longer for it to dry. But I happen to have this glue, so that's why I'm using it. Okay, so we want it about like that. There we go. Oh, it's a little crooked, but it looks right on the this side, so I'm going to leave it crooked because I like the way it's looking. Okay. So then if you want, I notice this part is coming over my hole a little bit, so I'm going to cut that off because it doesn't matter as long as it doesn't affect the window, right? But I want to put some ink inside of these so that it's darker where the holes are, right? And then we want down here, because that's one of the holes, down here. Okay, yeah, that's better. All right, and then what I'm going to do from here is I am just going to glue the whole thing together. Where's my white glue? And I just use white glue for this because it's all paper basically that we're going to be gluing together, so it'll work just fine for this part. And like I said, it may possibly be just fine with gluing the plastic down. I just happen to have that glue, so that's why I used it. Okay, I guess I should have tried that for you guys, but I hadn't thought of that ahead of time, and I was just so anxious to show you guys how to do this. Okay, and then I just take my quarter punch, one of my corner punches, and I'm going to round the corners just like this one. And I'm going to just use the small one. I don't want anything too much taken off the sides, just a tiny bit. I'm having a hard time seeing with this punch if I'm getting it in the right way. It's hard to tell where I am with this one, isn't it? Well, let's go down here and see if I can see this one better. And this one. So why aren't I seeing? I'm going to just tap that. Looks like I got a little caught in there. There. Now let's see if I can see this a little better now. Yeah, for some reason I'm not seeing that. Let's turn it this way and see if I can get it so I can see it better in there. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, let's see. Nope, that wasn't it. Isn't that interesting how I'm struggling with this one corner? And it shouldn't be a struggle. Well, I'm going to just round it with my scissors. because it's not a big round at all. There we go. Okay, and so that looks very similar to that, doesn't it? I think it looks great. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it. That will just let it stand out more. So we're going to ink that. I might even ink. Let's see what happens when I try and put some right around those spots. And our little dots here, our little holes. Okay, oh, and I want to do the back too. So you can also journal on the back of these, right? Quite easily. You can write yourself a little hidden note on the back of these. They're just so pretty and decorative. And I wanted a couple of these ladies in that journal. So then I went down the rabbit hole and made a whole bunch. All right, so there we go. Oh, and the other thing is I have these numbers, and you can put a number at the bottom. Some I did, some I did not. I think I want to put one on here. I've just got to figure out which one I want to put on. Nope, not that one. How about this one? Yeah, I think that's the one I like the most. So I made these out of their coffee dyed, just copy paper. It's not cardstock. So I think I'll be fine to put that on with my glue stick. It'll work just fine. Go. So I'm just gonna line it up under here where I want it. You could also put a word if you wanted to, but I was liking the looks of these numbers underneath them. So that's why I use them. So that is how easy it is to create your own slide. And like I said, you could make it as wide or as long as you wanted, right? But I was working on these little ones, and I'm so happy how that turned out, right? That's very similar to what we have from the die. It looks very similar, and that way you don't need a die, and you can just go to town and make a bunch of these, mass make these. And so I'm just going to quickly show you the ones I made. So this is one that I made from scratch, and these are all with the die, because I started cutting out the die before I thought about, you know what, I should try and recreate this for my people, so if they don't have a die, they can do it themselves. So this one here is not a die, and I like the pattern paper, right? This was, I had coffee or tea dyed this with a stencil, so I used that paper for this. So you can use any kind of paper, or cardstock, I should say, not paper. Don't use paper. And then this is another die one. This is another one I created on my own. And this is the inside of an envelope, right? So that's all I did was cut the envelope, turned it inside out, and made a slide with it. I loved the pattern on here, so I thought that was interesting how well that turned out. And then I think, oh, and then I made, this was a die one, the cute little boys. And then here's some that I'd already I put numbers on. The other ones I didn't. And then this one. So you can make it so you can have more than one image in there. This is 3 ladies. I thought that was really cute. I just ran them off. Or if you happen to have them in stickers, that would work too. And then I did that one. And then this one with the big hat lady. And this one here too is doing it without a die. So as you can see, I have to look twice almost to see that it is not a die and it is a die. So anyways, I hope that was helpful and that you'll give these a try. They were a lot of fun, but I think I better stop making now and continue on and get my journal ready to start adding things to. I haven't even picked out the papers yet. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed that, like I said, and that you give it a try. I think that you'll be surprised how nice they are and how easy they are to make. And I want you all to have a crafty, crafty day and a lovely day. Don't forget to press that notification bell and you will always know when my videos are coming up. So bye for now, everyone.